and it was the... Look, colleagues, it is absolutely fantastic to welcome you to the Cabinet, our first meeting, and it was the honour and privilege of my life to be invited by the King, His Majesty the King, yesterday to form a government and to form the Labour government of 2024. And now we hold our first Cabinet meeting. So I welcome you to it. We have a huge amount of work to do. So now we get on with our work.
Labour crushed. Starmer faces reality as he watches the Labour Party crumble. The political landscape of the United Kingdom has been a whirlwind of rhetoric and blame in recent months, as the issues of immigration, border control, and political accountability continue to dominate public discourse. One name has repeatedly surfaced in these debates: Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party. But as the situation at the UK's borders worsens, some are beginning to question the effectiveness and sincerity of Starmer's stance on these crucial matters. His promises to tackle illegal immigration, particularly the small boats crossing the English Channel, have been met with growing skepticism. What exactly is Starmer promising, and why do so many feel that his position is not just unrealistic, but potentially dangerous for the nation? In a recent video, one individual, clearly frustrated with the government's lack of action and the opposition's failure to deliver a concrete solution, took to social media to voice their concerns. The message was clear: Starmer's promises on immigration are nothing more than political rhetoric. This commentary is just one example of the growing disillusionment among the public regarding the government's and opposition's failure to address illegal immigration effectively. The question many are asking is simple: why do we continue to allow these boats to arrive, and why is the problem being ignored? As the video's narrator pointed out, the situation at the UK's southern coastline is dire. From Margate, a picturesque town in Kent, you can see the calm waters of the English Channel stretching out before you. However, for many living in this coastal area, the view has become synonymous with something far more troubling: the relentless arrival of small boats carrying migrants from France. The boats, often crammed with people seeking to cross the Channel to the UK, have become a daily sight. As the video's narrator points out, it's a pattern that's repeated every day. The problem isn't just the sheer number of arrivals, but the lack of control over who is coming into the country. Once these boats arrive on British shores, authorities are left scrambling to process individuals whose backgrounds are largely unknown. Starmer's stance on immigration, particularly the issue of illegal boat crossings, has been the subject of much debate. During his leadership of the Labour Party, he vowed to address immigration issues, promising to smash the gangs involved in people smuggling and halt the illegal crossings. Yet, despite these promises, the boats continue to arrive in ever-increasing numbers. This has led many to ask, what has changed since Starmer made these claims? Why does the situation seem to be worsening rather than improving? The video's narrator is not alone in their criticism. There is a growing sense of frustration with Starmer's approach to immigration. The Labour leader's rhetoric has shifted considerably since he made his original promises to tackle the problem of small boat crossings. At the time, Starmer's position seemed strong and resolute, but today, many see him as having moved to the right on the issue. This shift has been interpreted by some as a politically motivated response to increasing pressure from the public and from factions within his own party, who demand stronger action on immigration. The frustration with Starmer's flip-flopping on this issue is palpable. The narrator believes that Starmer's promises are little more than political posturing. They claim that the only reason Starmer has shifted his stance is because he is petrified politically of reform turning over the Labour Party. In other words, Starmer's apparent commitment to tackling illegal immigration is seen as a calculated political move rather than a genuine desire to solve the problem. His desire to appease a growing segment of the electorate worried about unchecked immigration may explain his recent statements, but this shift has left many questioning his integrity. The most damning criticism of Starmer comes in the form of a simple observation. His rhetoric does not match the reality of the situation. Despite his grand promises to smash the gangs and stop the boats, the reality is that these gangs continue to operate with little hindrance. The video's narrator argues that Starmer's promises are nothing more than rhetoric, designed to placate the public, but lacking any tangible plans for action. This point is highlighted by the fact that the UK continues to funnel large amounts of money into France in an attempt to curb the flow of migrants across the Channel. Despite millions of pounds spent on joint operations between the UK and France, the situation shows no signs of improving. The boats continue to arrive, and the gangs continue to profit from the misery of those seeking to cross the Channel. The narrator is scathing in their assessment. We are being completely gaslit all the time. In other words, the public is being fed false promises and assurances. While the problem persists unabated, this rhetoric has done little to address the root cause of the issue, which lies not just in the boats themselves, but in the broader dynamics of migration and human trafficking. According to the video, the real solution would not simply be to intercept the boats and process the individuals on board, but to prevent the boats from leaving the French coastline in the first place. The video suggests that the UK government should apply financial pressure on France, using tariffs or other economic measures to force the French government to take more aggressive action against the people smugglers operating on their shores. While this suggestion may seem radical, it reflects a growing frustration with the lack of real solutions. The UK has spent millions trying to solve this problem, yet the boats continue to come. The solution, according to some, may lie in forcing France to take more responsibility for the problem. If that means applying economic pressure through tariffs or other measures, then so be it. Another aspect of the issue that has raised concerns is the role of aid workers who assist the migrants arriving on the UK's shores. The video refers to a screen dump that shows a confrontation between journalist Patrick Christys and an aid worker. The aid worker reportedly admitted that some of the individuals arriving on these boats are criminals, calling them wrong'uns. This revelation further complicates the debate surrounding illegal immigration, as it raises the question of whether enough is being done to ensure that those entering the country are properly vetted. This conversation echoes broader concerns about security and the potential risks associated with unchecked immigration. If individuals with criminal backgrounds are allowed to enter the UK without proper screening, it not only undermines national security, but also raises the stakes for public services that must deal with these individuals once they arrive. The video's narrator suggests that the solution is simple. The boats need to be stopped before they reach British shores. This could be achieved, they argue, by either intercepting the boats or applying pressure on France to take stronger action against the smugglers. Yet, as they point out, it's unlikely that such a straightforward solution will be implemented anytime soon. The political will to tackle the problem head-on is simply not there, and that's where the frustration lies. The situation at the UK's borders is more than just a political issue. It is a reflection of the broader challenges facing the nation. Immigration, border security, and national sovereignty are all hotly debated topics with no easy solutions in sight. The failure of both the Conservative and Labour parties to effectively address these issues has left the public feeling disillusioned and frustrated. As the boats continue to arrive, and as the gangs continue to profit, it's clear that something needs to change. Starmer's political maneuvering on immigration may have appeased some of his critics, but it has also exposed the inherent contradictions within his party's stance on the issue. His promises to smash the gangs and stop the boats may have sounded good in theory, but they have proven to be little more than empty words. Until Starmer or any political leader can offer a concrete, workable solution, the UK will continue to face the same problems, day in and day out. In the end, the question remains, is Starmer truly committed to tackling the immigration issue, or is he simply another politician offering empty promises in an attempt to stay in power? The public deserves more than just rhetoric. They deserve action. Until that action is taken, the reality of the situation will continue to be unmasked for all to see. As the small boats continue to arrive in increasing numbers, the local communities, especially in areas like Kent, are starting to feel the impact. The sight of hundreds of migrants landing daily, coupled with the uncertainty surrounding their backgrounds, has caused anxiety among the residents. Many people are asking why the UK's borders are being breached so easily, and why the government has not done enough to stop it. One of the most significant concerns is the burden placed on local services. Towns like Dover, Folkestone, and Margate are already stretched when it comes to health services, housing, and social welfare. The sudden influx of people seeking asylum is putting even more strain on these communities. As reported in numerous media outlets, local authorities are overwhelmed by the increased demand for accommodation, social services, and health care for many of these residents. The question is simple: why is the government allowing this situation to continue? They are not opposed to helping those in genuine need, but they are concerned about the lack of checks and balances, the risks associated with UNRWA, the situation surrounding illegal immigration, and the small boats crossing the channel remains a pressing issue for the UK. While political leaders continue to point fingers at each other, the public is growing increasingly frustrated with the lack of effective action. As the video's narrator suggests, Starmer's promises are nothing more than empty rhetoric, and the problem will continue to worsen unless there is a significant shift in policy. One possible solution, as proposed in the video, is to apply financial pressure on countries like France to take stronger action. While this approach is likely to be controversial, it may be the only way to force change. However, the real issue is whether the political will exist to tackle this problem head-on. The public is no longer willing to accept empty promises. They want action, and they want it now. Whether Starmer and his counterparts in the government can deliver remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the status quo is no longer acceptable, and unless decisive action is taken, the UK will continue to face the consequences of uncontrolled immigration. The question remains, will political leaders rise to the challenge? Or will they continue to offer nothing more than empty words? The role of the media in shaping public perception of illegal immigration cannot be overstated. In recent years, the narrative around immigration has become highly polarized, with different media outlets offering contrasting views on the issue. Some portray migrants as desperate individuals fleeing war or persecution, deserving of compassion and protection. Others, however, focus on the perceived dangers and strain on public resources, presenting the issue as a threat to national security and social stability. This disparity in media coverage has a profound effect on public opinion. On one side, those who are sympathetic to migrants argue that the UK should provide sanctuary and support for those fleeing dangerous situations. On the other hand, there are those who view the influx of migrants as a threat to the country's way of life, believing that the UK's resources are already stretched too thin and that the government's primary duty is to protect the interests of its citizens. As the video pointed out, the public is growing increasingly disillusioned with the promises made by politicians, especially Starmer and other leaders. The public has come to realize that the rhetoric of smashing the gangs and stopping the boats is often just a distraction, with little substance behind the words. This growing frustration is not only reflected in conversations on social media, but also in public protests, letters to MPs, and calls for tougher measures to control immigration. The media, too, plays a key role in amplifying this frustration. News outlets that focus on the impact of illegal immigration on local communities, public services, and national security contribute to the growing sense of urgency. Meanwhile, media organizations that focus on the humanitarian aspect of the issue can provoke compassion and empathy. However, regardless of the angle, the media plays a critical role in shaping how the public views the ongoing immigration crisis. It's also worth noting that the media often focuses on high-profile incidents, such as violent crimes committed by individuals who entered the country illegally. These incidents are used to stoke fear and reinforce the belief that illegal immigration presents a direct threat to public safety. While these incidents are undoubtedly serious, the broader context of illegal immigration, including the systemic issues of border control, resource allocation, and international cooperation, is often overlooked. At the core of the immigration debate is an ethical dilemma that many politicians, including Starmer, must confront. How does a country balance the need to protect its borders and national security with its moral obligation to offer sanctuary to those in need? It's a complex issue that does not have easy answers, but the growing public discontent suggests that the current approach is not working. The ethical argument for accepting refugees is based on compassion and the understanding that people fleeing war, violence, and persecution deserve a chance to rebuild their lives in safety. However, the ethical argument for controlling illegal immigration centers around the principle of fairness and the belief that a country's resources should be allocated to those who are lawfully entitled to them. Moreover, there are concerns about the broader societal impact of unchecked immigration, including the potential for social unrest and the undermining of public trust in institutions. It's clear that both sides of the debate have legitimate concerns. On one hand, there is the desire to protect vulnerable individuals who are seeking refuge from harm. On the other hand, there is the responsibility to ensure that immigration policies do not undermine the stability of the country, its economy, and its social fabric. Starmer and other political leaders must navigate these competing concerns, but the failure to take decisive action has left many questioning whether they are genuinely interested in addressing the issue, or whether they are merely playing to their respective bases for political gain. In the case of Starmer, his shifting rhetoric on illegal immigration, from initially promising tougher measures to recent attempts to adopt a more moderate stance, appears to be driven by political necessity. As the leader of the opposition, Starmer must strike a delicate balance between appealing to his party's left-wing base, which is more supportive of immigration, and appealing to the wider electorate, which is increasingly concerned about the country's ability to control its borders. This political tightrope walk has resulted in a lack of consistency in his stance on the issue, leading to accusations that he is more concerned with winning votes than with offering a coherent, principled approach to immigration. His attempts to position himself as a champion of both compassion and security have only led to confusion, with critics arguing that he is more interested in saying what the public wants to hear than in offering real solutions to the crisis. The current state of immigration policy in the UK suggests that what is needed is not merely a series of piecemeal measures, but a comprehensive overhaul of the country's immigration system. The political back and forth between parties, with each blaming the other for the ongoing crisis, has only served to deepen the public's disillusionment. A comprehensive approach to immigration reform would include not only better border controls, but also a more effective system for processing asylum claims. As the video pointed out, many of the individuals entering the country via small boats are doing so without the necessary documentation, which makes it difficult for authorities to determine their backgrounds and intentions. This lack of transparency only fuels public suspicion and undermines trust in the system. Additionally, it would require stronger cooperation with France and other European nations to tackle the root causes of illegal immigration, while the UK can take steps to strengthen